A very good morning to you, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now let's take a look at what we have. All right, there we have it. Director, Sawa. It's been a long weekend, I know. All right, so let's get this on the road. It's been a heavy weekend, politically speaking, and the discussion and the back and forth between the DCI and the IBC is raising a lot of questions on the credibility test in terms of who is speaking the truth, depending on which political side you are taking. And today I want us to focus that as well as the UNGA debate. Okay. So with me in studio, I have got Bernard Makau, who is a senatorial aspirant in Nairobi County. He is an independent candidate. I'll be joined later on by Francis Mwangangi, who is also a deputy gubernatorial aspirant in Machakos County. He'll be joining me very soon in studio, but we have to get the show on the road. Nonetheless, Bernard, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
First of all, we have to give our condolences to the families of the 24 people who died last evening at the Nithi Bridge. It's a horrific moment as a nation. What's your take on that?
I think this then goes back to the issue of road safety, the management of our highways and roads, how we operate there. And in all fairness, we cannot lay all the blame on agencies, on government bodies, even though they have a critical role to ensure the road is good, it's in nice, usable condition. But also as ourselves as Kenyans, what is our responsibility when we're in the road, especially when you're driving a vehicle that is ferrying other people? Yeah. We need to look at both sides and realize that we are endangering our lives. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll be discussing more on that, but let me quickly take you through what we have on the front pages of our local dailies. Starting with Standard. On the front page of the Standard, Kinoti versus IBC, who is telling the truth on Venezuela's. Kinoti versus IBC, who is telling the truth on Venezuela's. DCI claims that the three are in the country to execute ill motives, but their host says that they are supposed to train IEBC staff on support solutions, with Ruto telling police to keep off election matters. That is what's on the front page of the Standard. Quickly on the Star newspaper here, Ruto office raided as DP state tussle over rigging claims. Ruto office raided as DP state tussle over rigging claims. Sleuths cut away 2 computers as Kinoti puts Chebukati on the spot. We have got pictures there of the DCI officers cutting away and somehow dismantled servers in the office of DP. IBC tech firm riddled with controversy. Statmatic International, the company contracted to supply the voter identification system for next month's polls, is no stranger to controversies. Established in 2000, Smartmatic initially developed security software for the banking industry. So in its first year, the firm found itself embroiled in a major controversy over the hanging chad incident over the 2000 US election. That is what's on the front page of the Star newspaper, where DP now turns heat on Uhuru and DCI for meddling with IBC. On the front page of the Daily Nation, 24 dead in Nithi Bridge bus crash. 24 dead in Nithi bus crash. Death toll could rise in the coming hours, according to the police. And you can also take a look there. According to, with only 14 days to go to the polls, now there is a split comparison between actually inside Raila and Ruto business empires. You can take a look at that story. It's quite interesting. What are some of the business ventures they are into? Just briefly, Raila in this particular piece says that he's ventured into energy, agrochemical, more
of Energy, East Africa Spectra International Limited, B Energy Limited, etc., etc. With the Deputy President, we have that he is in real estate and hospitality underwriting. That is where we have got Amaco Insurance, Western Hotel, Martini Limited, and so much more. So you can take a look at what we have on that. And that is just but a sneak peek on what we have on our local dailies. Now, very quickly, Bernard, when you look at these two headlines, that is the Standard, and we have got the Star here. The back and forth between the DCI and the IBC. At this particular point, are we able to say that IBC is absolutely ready for the poll without just 14 days to go? You are a contestant.
Yes. Okay. I think the situation is we are looking at the wrong people. I think IBC or any other agency in Kenya right now is only able to operate freely and fairly to the extent that the political class will allow it. In my opinion, and you began when you began making your statement, you alluded to it. In my opinion, is that right now what is happening is that this news will divide this nation along party lines, depending on who it is that somebody is going to support. Why I say that is because there are the IEBC is not only the only state agency. We have the DCI now.
Yes.
Other than the DCI, we have the intelligence system. For me, it is difficult to believe that somebody can come, and a foreigner can come into this country, have relations with IEBC, even plan such a big fraud as has been suggested here, without them being stopped very early at the airport, for example. Yeah. So for me, it seems that there is more interference from the political class. Again, if I were the one, obviously I'm not a corrupt person, but if I were to plan as an intelligent person,
you can blow your own trumpet.
No. I'm stating my fact. It can be investigated, right, and found whether I am corrupt or not. But if I were to plan as an intelligent person and one with the sort of resources that some of these political parties wield, I would be planning such a move outside this country. You realize IT is not restricted to within the border.
Right.
It's not like supplying water from the tap. You need it from Susumua or some other place directly. You can do IT in Venezuela. Yeah. So why they would have to come to Nairobi to stage such a fraud, for me is not convincing.
Yeah.
And again, to say that Chebukati, a state officer, would stand up and give a contradicting explanation to the DCI, to the investigation,
DCI, right.
DCI. For me, I think it speaks volumes, because Chebukati is not a politician. He is trying to run a credible election, and he has the right to reply. I would more favor Chebukati's explanation than the DCI, because the DCI reports, if you look at the line, it ends at the presidency, who's the chief boss of the DCI. It's not just the IG. The IG will report to the minister to the president.
Does it have to get to that point? Because the DCI acted on a tip from these airport officers when these guys were arrested, the 3 Venezuelan nationals.
Yes. Okay, let me put it this way. Why is the DCI, who is, I assume, a professional, why would he be going public with this kind of information on such an emotive issue as the general election in Kenya? Kama mzee wa kijiji, why would you rush with such divisive and potentially harmful information to the general election, and put it out there in public. If you are acting on a tip, well, just act on the tip, go and arrest whoever it is you need to arrest, make your investigation quietly. Let us then fast track the process and get them to court. We have a very short time. Get them to court early enough to block any misdeeds and criminal activities. He needed not to go and put a public statement that would then, it's not just dealing with crime now. It's become a political issue. To whose benefit is that?
I'm asking this question because you're a contestant. You're running for the senatorial seat of Nairobi County. And when you hear such kind of allegations and back and forth between the DCI and the IBC, these are two government institutions which should be working in tandem,
yes.
Actually for credibility of this election. But then now, as a person, do you really think that your position is safe as a contestant?
Actually, that's a good question. I get worried when I hear such kind of news, because while those are parties, what of independents and what of smaller parties who do not have the muscle to fight big state agencies? It tells me that the interest and that interest, I repeat, is not IEBC's. It's Chebukati or his staff, right? That interest is the interest of politicians. So I'm worried, because I think, how safe will my vote be? Those parties also have people running as senators and other positions. So will IBC be able to withstand the onslaught from major parties and their interest? That is, of course, a very worrying issue. But I can't emphasize enough the problem in Kenya, and the problem that IEBC or Kinoti himself is facing is interference from the political class.
Because, the political class plays a key role in an election. You're the key players. IBC, people would say, is just better referee. At this particular point, IBC is not new to controversies. In 2017, in 2013, even the nullification of the election was majorly based on the transmission of the results. And now we are at this particular point. You can imagine what would happen with only 14 days to go. We go to the polls, and then 2-3 days later, an election result is declared. And we have got such kind of anomalies. Perhaps you can say that Chebukati and his team should be walking on a tightrope, right?
They are walking on a very, very tightrope. I do not envy their position at all, because much as they may want to stand on the side of independence, it will require the rest of us as a country to allow them to be independent. So, of course, they are faced with a major challenge of not just being independent, but appearing to be independent, which is directly being interfered with now by another state agency. Because now the appearance of independence has gone. The minute we have allegations that IBC is colluding with somebody on behalf of one candidate, the appearance of independence, the appearance of neutrality in that issue, it disappears immediately. It worries not just candidates as myself.
Yes.
It worries the voter. That's why we have voter apathy now. We experienced apathy as in when there was the registration process, when it was still open to people are able to register as voters. A lot of young people didn't register. Why? The expected target wasn't met. Why? Because people argued, and I've heard this everywhere I have been. There is no point whether I vote this side or this side. The vote has been decided for one party. You see. So when we have state agencies fighting in the media, in such an issue, then it seeps down right to the voter.
Yes.
And the decision then, when it is finally announced, is not as convincing.
Because when you look at, as you put it, it's going to split people between two lines. I mean, who is going to support the DCI because of the revelations, and IBC on this other end saying that these are their staff members who are actually meant to give IT support to the elections. But the question somebody would be asking, why at this particular point and why the stickers? That can also, can raise questions.
Well, yes, it can. And I think just sort of to also look at, not to side against the DCI completely. the issue, I would like to remain a bit balanced.
Yeah.
The issue of transparency is also a critical issue. And in fighting corruption and malpractice. Now it is with IEBC. And I'm looking at it in retrospect. It would have been a preferable position if all this kind of information that we are having, a Venezuelan company coming to support, all this, if it had been put somewhere, maybe on a website in public, so that we are already aware that those are the processes, instead of us coming to find out later that there was a team contracted from another country. Yeah. So on the side of IEBC, the need for more transparency is something that they should look at going forward. They should, especially things that could be targeted by politicians, malicious politicians. Those things should be put in public early enough. Yeah. Nonetheless, my appeal to Kenyans is a simple one. Let us not rush to judge just based on who we support. Let us look at the deeper issues that are the underlying issues. Why would a police officer go public? Is it the only investigation? Is it the first investigation? There are many people being arrested for many grievous things in this country. We don't ever hear the DCI going public on
Bernard, on such a matter, you wouldn't have expected anybody to go quiet on it.
No. I think
election is a motive.
The motivity of an election requires a responsible state officer at that level to take their time to check the facts. And this is not, I'm not saying to conceal. They would have done the investigation quietly. There is no benefit to Kenyans, to a person like me, even to candidates. Really? Because you are a contestant, you'd really want to know how election is going to be. I would want to know how elections is going to be, not based on an allegation, but based on not only credible investigation, but on people who have gone to court and it has been proven before a court of law, which is the process that we have ordained in Kenya as the legal process. Because up to the moment, right now there's a lot of noise about people being arrested and investigations going on. Let us see how fast these people will be taken to court. I think the DCI has jumped the gun, because you've been given a tip-off. It's something you had no idea about. You've been given a tip-off. Oh, kuna maneno hapa. You've rushed and found, ukweli, there are people coming into the country. You have arrested them. And then you are on social media or you're on some public platform announcing. I think that in itself is a political statement. And why it is a political statement against one party already. It is disenfranchising that party, because already there are people who there are people who maybe would have voted for that side, but now are moving to the other because they think, oh, our new easy. You see, so I think Kinoti has handled the part where he has declared it publicly very poorly and very unlike a big state officer. Yeah, we've had in the past not just state officers, even politicians, announcing things. You remember Mr. Sonko when he was governor, calling the president on air, on our phone. You don't operate like that. You don't do things like that. Let me put it in Kiswahili. Usianike nini serikali yako in the open like that. You follow the due process that is laid down until to a point where now it is clear that indeed whoever you are investigating is actually, has done some criminal activity. But before that, and I don't think it's Kinoti's role to to declare somebody a criminal.
You know, this one reminds me way back, you know, Hassan Commission, we had Kivuito-led commission, and then we have Chebukati Commission. All these three commissions had their fair share.
Yes.
They ran up to, you know, an election. And you'd imagine that Chebukati is not immune to such kind of allegations. But before we continue, let's take a break, and when we come back, we're still going to continue the discussion. We still need to dig deep on what is happening, and now see on how this will end with only 14 days to the poll. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Finally, the wait is over. The Sundowner Sunset date is back. Saturday, 30th July 2022. The Grand Collabo, the gorgeous Catherine Donye and the wicked weekend man John Obongo Jr. together on one stage for the first time.
Meanwhile, some country.
Plus, Sir Elvis performing your favorite country hits live. All roads lead to the park in Kitengela, the land of Nyama Choma, for music, dance, food, drink, and so much fun. The Sundowner Sunset Date, the Grand Collabo. Mark the date, Saturday, 30th July 2022. Tickets cost 500 shillings at the gate.
Genova, talk to me, please. Genova, please talk to me.
I'm Furna from Green Hill. Are you Genova's lover from the mortal world?
Your body has been damaged. You may not be fit to carry a baby.
No way. I must keep this baby.
Echo.
What?
都是假象。
Tachonga viasi wewe. Na isitoshe utaosha hata vyombo.
Mimi nioshe vyombo mimi?
Hata unacheza.
Mwanaume mzima nioshe vyombo kwa sababu ya kukula chakula ya hoteli hii mimi.
Wait. What? Mogaka.
Kwa ofisi.
Plani umepita.
Tangu lini mnaekea mimi michele hivi kama patko? Chukua nyama rudisha huko.
Mimi unapenda kusumbua sasa.
Sipendi kusumbua na leta bwana.
Kwa mtu mimi nataka uchafue.
Nani nitaja jina yake saa hivi.
Give me back my husband. Give me my son. I'm begging you. Don't hurt them. Stay away from this and don't interfere. I am begging you, please.
I couldn't find Mrs. Raquel. I think I lost her in the street, and now I also don't know where Mr. Alfonso is.
What do you mean you lost Raquel out in the streets?
I will never be separated again, right, sweetheart?
What will happen is we'll live in the same city and close to each other, but in separate places.
Darling.
Raquel? What are you doing here?
Darling, you're here.
What's the matter, honey?
I got lost.
Make me, Karen! If you shoot again, I'll kill her!
Welcome back. Now the discussion still continues here, and when we took a break, our guest walked in Francis Mwangangi, who is a deputy governor running for that, should I say running for the deputy governor seat in Machakos County, right? I got it right. Karibu sana, Mwangangi.
Thank you. Traffic.
We have an expressway from Lolongo to Nairobi. Where were you caught in traffic?
Somewhere next to KBC.
Come on.
Along Uhuru Highway. because if I went through the flyover, you know, I would go past somewhere here.
Right.
Yes.
Then take a turn, come back.
Yes.
But nonetheless, you are here. How is Machakos doing?
I would say very good. We are just there, especially because of the biting serious drought and hunger. Yes. It's a serious matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
With 14 days to go, elections is getting closer and closer. How are things on ground?
People are campaigning. People are still trying to push for a very small percentage of the undecided voters. But I think I'm praying because of the existing situation of drought and hunger, that is not going to influence who gets elected, because sometimes we leaders, political leaders, sometimes we use our deep pockets to influence, particularly in the last minute. But I know people of Machakos are going to make their decision.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll give you a chance, and even Macau here, so that you can speak to your people.
Yes.
It's quite in order for that. All right, so when you look at the front page of the Standard there, what does it show you? What does it tell you? The back and forth between the IBC and the DCI, that's what we've been talking about. I don't know, what is your take now that we have got only 14 days to go?
This is a serious matter, because to me, two things come into play. One is we have two individuals, actually three. These two individuals were arrested in Kenya.
There are three, right?
Yes. They are not Kenyans. We are now reading who they are. How did they get here? What was their mission? Who is behind it? This is a serious matter. It means the will of people of Kenya, somebody could be trying to interfere with that. It is a serious matter that must be addressed. Underline the word must be addressed, because we do not want to take Kenyans through a process that is already predetermined. I'm saying this especially that Machakos is being touched on whatever is happening.
Exactly.
Here.
Right.
So I'm concerned. I would wish to see a situation where Kenyans go for an election, and whoever is elected, irrespective of whether he or she is tall, short, fat, is given that opportunity.
We take, I'm told that your microphone has morning blues. Let it be fixed pretty fast, and then we can come back to you.
Okay.
All right. I sorted out. But Bernard,
yes.
Can just pick it from where he's left.
Yes, I want to pick it because as he was speaking and talking about the fact that this needs to be addressed urgently and decisively, something occurred in the process of investigations. I think it's not a very complicated science, the police investigation. For example, these people have arrived in Kenya. I assume they have visas. As foreigners, they have entry visas and possibly work permits to operate in Kenya. It is a simple matter to pick up the phone or to get in touch with the immigration department and find out who are the sponsors of these people into the country, in terms of their work permit, in terms of the reasons for which they declared the need for a visa to come to Kenya.
Yes.
If it is just a clear thing, if indeed they were being contracted legally, you will find, therefore, then it is IBC who has applied for their work visa or have supported that application. It is IBC, the work given to them by IBC, that is the reason they they are giving. They wouldn't, for example, be coming on a tourist visa. They'd be coming on a work-related visa, having declared their role openly, if that is they were coming to work without malice. Okay. On the other hand, if you go and find a funny thing, they are on a tourist visa, they are said they are going to Mombasa or something, then of course there is grounds for suspicion. Yeah. So I am back to the issue of Kinoti announcing prematurely that he has arrested people on a tip-off. I think he has the mechanism of finding out this kind of information in the within the government offices, the office of the immigrations, IEBC itself, and other supporting agencies. Who is it that I don't think it's the Venezuelans who have rented out the office in this building where they were, where the equipment was and where the office was supposed to be. Okay. Those are details that would have easily come to the fore, and for the sake of saving this nation, we just, the last decade also, maybe slightly more than a decade, we have gone through bloodshed and very divisive elections. It is not the time to just bring allegations.
Let me just get your voice right now, Francis, if at all your mic is now. We had Mind the Blues with it, but I hope now it's woken up.
I think so.
Okay, very well. So you making your point. And quite importantly, it touches your county.
Yes.
By the way, he's running on Wiper Party. Yes. And your boss is Honorable Vinyandeti.
Yes.
I think it's quite clear to mention that. All right, take it away.
Then to add on, it is also critical for the IEBC to tell the country how many consultants, how many companies, from where, and maybe when they were contracted and to do what tasks, specific tasks. It is important for Kenyans to know this information. It's very important. This is not a minor matter. It is something that can bring a major dispute, electoral or rather political dispute, because the four presidential candidates, and especially the two leading ones, are likely to dispute this, and they will cite this. Even if the matter goes to court, this will be cited. So I'm urging the government through the DCI, we should not dismiss it. We should not dismiss and say maybe DCI is playing politics. We should not side with IEBC and say maybe this, IEBC are being targeted by security agencies. This is a serious matter, and I want the commissioners, the IEBC management, to come out and make known to Kenyans what is all this, and in a very clear way. Again, within the government, I'm wondering how this happened. To an extent, it is now a subject of an investigation from the same government, which has allowed these so-called consultants to be here. I don't understand. It's like there is one hand that is pulling from a different direction and another one heading to the very opposite. So I would wish also we see maybe a coordinated collective effort from the government. Before this matter was brought to public, I thought it was critical for the DCI to have conducted all the relevant government departments. And maybe as they are getting arrested, we also see somebody in the government getting arrested. We don't want a one-sided thing. This, the viewers, is a very serious issue. If I were, in fact, I will not be surprised to see some of the presidential candidates threatening not to participate in this election, because this is a serious matter. If somebody is trying to predetermine who becomes the next senator, the next MCA in Machakos, what does that one tell you? As a voter, I have no role. My vote does not count. We want our votes to count. Yes.
And that's exactly what Makau was talking about, because he talked about the situation, the way this situation was handled. before it went public, and now we have got the DCI raiding the DP's office, cutting away computers and all manner of, equipment from that office. You could imagine the kind of perception that Kenyans now have out there. More so Machakos County, because part of the stickers were headed to Machakos County. Yes. Have you done due diligence to investigate where these things were going to and their purpose in Machakos County?
Unfortunately, all major polling centers with high number of voters, almost all of them were targeted, are in the list. Number two, I have a feeling this is a major crime, which at international level can be classified as a crime against humanity. I think whoever is behind this should be barred forever not to participate in any electoral process in this country. This is a major crime as far as I'm concerned. So IEBC has a work to do. The government of Kenya has a duty to provide proper and clear information to Kenyans, because I have a feeling maybe it could be also a deal gone sour. Okay, because how did it start? How did it progress? And at what point did we get to know this is happening? Now, look at the office that is being mentioned, the second in command in this country. We cannot have those kind of lead. If it is true, then I think something must be acted decisively, because we should not have this kind of leaders in our public offices. Yes.
Okay. How many polling stations do we have in Machakos County?
Around, there are many. There are many, around, there are many. But those targeted, we were analyzing last night, actually around 1 a.m. They are almost half of the half of, almost half in every of these major sub-counties with high number of votes. Okay? And because our report is not complete, it is premature for me to make it public also.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
But it is something that is of concern. If I open my phone here, you will be surprised of what I'm getting from the residents, from the voters, from Machakos County.
That raises the same question that we were discussing here earlier, because now when you have IEBC and the DCI, these are two big boys belonging to the same government. We should be working in tandem. And then now one party is pulling from this direction and another one going the other direction. It's splitting the minds of the voters in different beats with only 14 days to go.
No. They should not work closely. In fact, what is happening is health for Kenyans. Because we need to know the truth. If they work collectively, because all of them are public agencies, then maybe this information would have come forward.
I understand where he's coming from, because why in my reasoning why he would say what is happening now through the media is a healthy thing is because we do not have sources of information. And I'm not talking about the media itself. I'm talking about the way government dispenses its information has not been to the point where that it is believable to many Kenyans. So when we have parties talking at each other like that, it then allows us Kenyans to have a sneak peek at what is happening behind the curtains. But let us be very clear on this issue, that it is right now a political stance that the DCI has taken. Going to raid offices does not require the media to be there. We do not need to see photographs, because he is not stating his case before the public. He should take his case to a court of law. That is number one. Number two, and my brother has mentioned it clearly, that how is it that people can come and pull a stand of such magnitude in a process so important in this country that has historically been marred with things like violence and bloodshed, under the nose of such an intelligence unit as the one that Kenya has, a unit that can find me wherever I am in this country, that can track my phone, that can understand, and you do not want to let us not lie to ourselves that IEBC can concoct such a plot with whoever it did without the knowledge of our intelligence system. I think that's the major focus that they would have right now. What this thing is doing is putting Mr. Chebukati in a very uncomfortable position. Will he accept that he's been part of a plot to defraud a particular presidential candidate? And by the way, not just presidential candidate. Personally, I am feeling worried personally, because you realize that any person, even when you're coming into power, you need a clique of people. So that presidential candidate who is being plotted for, on behalf of, would require the plot to expand to a great extent to the governor in Machakos. That's why he is very bitter about it. To the senator in Nairobi and to other positions. So what we are seeing right now is a political process. And personally, as a politician, if this thing cannot be taken to a court of law in Kenya and resolved judiciously and speedily, then we should be considering aborting this election, and until we can find a proper management system that is devoid of the interests of the direct influence by the politicians. IBC has no interest. Chebukati, anyone would see, why would Chebukati favor anybody? He already has his office. He's already the chairperson. He's not looking for a job. So if him or his team were inclined to favor somebody, it's because of either politics or money. And who is giving that?
And that's exactly what the DP said yesterday in Kapkatet. He said that the DCI has failed Kenyan.
Yes, he has.
And his work is to investigate criminal matters, not get involved in electoral processes. But these two
no, I think there also we must correct. I think the DCI has a right to investigate any alleged criminal activity, whether electoral or any other one. It is quite within his role to raid offices, to arrest people, to investigate them in whatever due process that is being laid down by law. It is his role. What is not his role is for him to come out in public, invite media to see raids, to take people and take pictures of people and put them on the front page. People who we as of now have not established that they are actually taking a criminal activity.
You know what, Francis? We had Isaac Hassan Commission, we had Kivuito, and now we have Chebukati. All these commissions, at what point will we have independent commissions running an election in Kenya?
Independent, but abiding by the law. Even if the elections are being conducted now, it does not mean Mr. Kenoti cannot move and arrest anybody or investigate any criminal or alleged or otherwise. I have a slight view of what my colleague is saying. Whatever is being investigated by the DCI, the actions they are taking, Kenyans are bound to get access to that information. Considering the office that is being mentioned, we knew later, DCI knows later this thing will come public and somebody will start alleging that I'm being targeted. So it is also very important for the DCI to make it public that we are doing this because of 1, 2, 3, and that is what DCI has done. And because this matter is involving political leaders, that's why you are seeing the kind of hit that you are seeing. because now somebody is trying to, each camp is trying to paint itself as innocent. The other one is trying to look like I'm the defender of the electoral matters in this country. Yet the office we in question here, we know it belongs to one of the candidates. So this is a serious matter. I think I do not accuse the DCI of going public about these arrests, about what they are doing, because it is something that is of public interest. What we are saying is we need to get to the bottom of it and reassure Kenyans that we are going to have free, fair and credible elections.
What do you see in the next 14 days?
I'm seeing improvement in terms of preparations for this election. I'm seeing a serious commitment to IEBC officers. I'm seeing a commission that maybe they have a duty to do to improve their trust, their trust by Kenyans. It's very important. Because if we go to this election, and Kenyans do not trust this very important body, then there are issues. Let me also put a disclaimer. Developing world, Kenya included. Some of these things could be right. DCI could be right in what they are doing. They could be following a very serious issue, which is of interest. But also there is a possibility somebody could be using them to also play politics and destroy the credibility and trust of IEBC for the something that is predetermined, maybe during or after this election. There is also those. So DCI and IEBC have a duty to do.
They have a duty to do.
Yes.
And you look at that, Bernard, do you think either of them will have time to redeem themselves?
Well, the time is very short right now. And of course there is a lot of political pressure to be able to resolve this. I am hoping secretly that the DCI will, having already now put this thing in public, will take it to court quickly enough for us to make a decision going forward. Nonetheless, let me just say that what we are witnessing as Kenyans, we must understand very clearly that it is a direct reflection of our character as a nation. That deceptiveness, that ujanja inakuwa mingi, which is not to our benefit as Kenyans. I'm not going to read it, but I just saw a headline here from Godwin Siundu this is the Daily Nation.
Yes.
Is Kenya about to miss a lifetime opportunity again? This is a question we must ask ourselves. Because what is happening, this election is a transition for another 5 years in our history as a nation. If we start messing up the way now things are beginning to appear, it is even unclear, as my colleague has mentioned, it is unclear. Either side could be playing this politics. Either side has the capability of importing fraudsters to come and assist. Yeah, so it's quite unclear. If you're being neutral and balanced, you look at it like that. But as a country, are we, because of ujanja yetu, about to miss or to mess up another 5 years in our history? If you look at the questions that we are dealing with as Kenyans, the basic questions, the price of unga, the price of fuel, these are the very same questions we were talking about in 2017 during the election time. Yeah, are we ensuring that we continue? And I think we will not continue endlessly. It will grow worse and worse. Are we in this mess ensuring that we continue with that kind of struggle and suffering? Or are we as Kenyans about to take decisive action to break away from that kind of road? For me right now, I think Kenyans, we need not to overly politicize what is going on, what is being sold to us by either side.
Okay, you know, during that particular process, there are some allegations that when the 3 Venezuelan nationals arrived at the airport, there was no any IBC official who was there to receive them. You are a stranger in a foreign land, and it's always recommended that when you drop somewhere or you land somewhere, you have got your, your host receiving you. At this particular point, allegations, right, that there was nobody who was there to receive them. Someone would draw so many questions from there. Either they knew where they were going to, or they were working under some proxy somewhere silently, or they were just coming to find their way in some kind of a mysterious way.
Let me add another or to the ones that you have given. Or they had a proper booking done so that they were to be received by maybe a hotel van or something, which has happened. I'm sure you have traveled
with all these
with
all these 4 ors, quote unquote.
Yes.
Don't you think it's putting this country in a very precarious situation as far as election is concerned?
It is, and that's why my argument is that the DCI shouldn't have rushed to the media. Yeah, it just one phone call to the head of the immigration department would have given him the details.
Okay,
friends,
let me get your take on
that. But I have a question.
Sure.
In terms of elections, where does Venezuela in the world rank? Another question. These consultants from Venezuela, what is the relationship between the private office that was raided and IEBC? Number 3, why is the focus on the 2 officials, yet the other government departments that cleared them, we are not hearing much about them? Or is it going to become the famous army deal that was where we see where the country was treated to a fake general trying to sign contracts, security contracts, and then after that we never hear about it. I can say here, we can list so many cases that we have seen our security agencies, the raid, being trailed by cameras, including the ethics and anti-corruption. Whenever you see such cases, they fade and they get lost somewhere in the thin air. So in this case, this is a serious matter, and we expect more from the both agencies, DCI and IEBC, because as I sit here, all these are allegations. We don't know whether we could be just talking, yet it is a serious matter that could have started long time ago. We need to know if it is true, who really is the person behind this, and exactly what is the motive. Yes.
Okay. Just out of curiosity, you are a player in Machakos County.
Yes.
And I know this case is still under DCI and they're handling it. Have you come across any of the stickers? What the content of the stickers all about? Have you come across any?
I haven't. Personally, I haven't. Yes.
Yes.
We are just hearing allegations, except at different times. For the past 2 or 3 weeks, we have been hearing of a certain form that is being filled and people giving out their IDs, those ID numbers and copies. We have been hearing that. We tried to contact the local IBC officials, and they were very candid that if you come across any, bring the matter to our attention, and before even you do that, report it to the police.
Yes.
But these people are doing it in a very secretive way. To an extent, you are doing one-on-one, and then the deal is done between the agent and the targeted person, such that it is the person who will go and report. It is not something that you can call a group of people and maybe explain, do this. And the way it is being done, a lot of money is being used in the whole process. These clergies, I tried to follow up. And they were very categorical. There's something fishy happening here. You need to address it. And as I sit here, we are still following up because it is happening in, particularly even in the ward that I come from. I know around 5 places that are alleged to be that kind of a thing to be taking place. So we are concerned, especially when this came out. Yes.
Marco, it seems that Machakos, Francis is having some sleepless nights in Machakos County. Yes. But let me ask all of you, why is an election in this country quite emotive? It's almost a do or die. You're getting into it, yes, and you can feel the pressure and the heat coming from the kitchen quite directly. Why so?
Okay, first of all, we must see where the pressure is coming from, and we must be just candid and honest as Kenyans, of whatever walk of life we have. This pressure is coming from corrupt politicians. That's where the buck stops. It is not our institutions, it's not our planning, it is nothing, it's not even the general public. Although the politicians themselves are a reflection of who we are as a nation. I have said before that Kenya's #1 enemy is not locusts and it is not Al-Shabaab, it's corruption. And we need to find a way. Personally, I'll be suggesting declaring it a national emergency immediately if I am elected. I think unless we come head on with what the problem. If you go to a doctor's, clinic, and they are talking about the symptoms and not the actual cause of your sickness, you are unlikely to get well. All right. It's the same thing right now with Kenya and with this issue. We are beating about the bush, talking about Kinoti or this. Actually, I even have an appeal to our media, recognizing to all the media generally, TV, radio, and anyone who is posting a lot on social media. While I recognize that media is both a service and a business at the same time, when it comes to pivotal issues that could mar the destiny of our nation, I would call upon the media to water down the reporting of it, not water down the details, but stop giving it frontline. We would, for example, be discussing who has got the best, manifesto. To solve the issues of this nation, instead of focusing solely on this issue, because what this is doing is just dividing the nation. Right. It is making us politicians uncomfortable. It is making the voter, we're even preparing now, drawing battle lines, not knowing what's going to happen after August 9th. Yeah. So we need to come back to ourselves as a nation and decide to do things in the proper way.
Because let me just get this. It's about 10,000 stickers which were netted, alleged, all right?
Alleged, yes.
But then someone would ask a direct question, is that IBC has a direct mandate to procure electoral materials, either from whichever part of the country or even outside if they so wish. But why give nationals or foreigners to come with the materials, for example, the stickers, the 10,000 stickers, if they are not IEBC officials? We have got procurement department tasked with that mandate under IEBC to do such. Chibukati the other day said that there is a committee charged with that, overseeing the process of doing the electoral, the paperwork, the printing of ballot papers in Greece. He's not even directly concerned. But someone would be so curious on why these stickers and the particular Venezuelans coming with them ready into the country. That's a question. Because
let me just, because that's a very
answer. Let me just get your point on that, Francis.
Once again, we know countries that are known to conduct free, fair, and credible elections. And elections that are swift. By the way, in some countries, developing countries, not developed countries, developing countries, where where electoral process start at the particular voting time and the day, and by the time it ends, every level, every position that is participating in that particular election knows the outcome clearly. Greece and Venezuela are not in that list. Okay? Actually, they are at the lower of the pyramid. They are not anywhere in the middle. I'm finding it so hard to link. Now the electoral materials are coming from Greece, but we are talking about Venezuelans who are consultants. I don't understand. I'm trying also to understand, as IEBC confirmed, these are their consultants, or are they working on a contracted by any of the organizations contracted to work for IEBC, or it is something being pushed to them as part of them? Because anybody can come up with this kind of a thing. Number two, to me, I want to caution Kenyans. What DCI is doing, Mr. Kinoti, could be a serious undertaking that ideally would have seen this election go in a particular way. But because of the information that they had, because of what they are doing, maybe it could also push IEBC or a section of the staff to abandon maybe a plan that they had, maybe to have some people in place. We know elsewhere in the world, we know some countries, they go what Kenya is now undergoing as far as electoral processes are concerned.
Yes.
And we know similar processes have been used to retain unpopular leaders in the political offices. We don't want that to happen in Kenya. We want Kenyans to vote, and we want, once they vote, their votes count. Why is elections in Kenya so emotive?
The same question I asked.
It's, in my view, it's because we the political leaders are seen to be almost everything in this country. They are the richest. They decide which direction the country takes, what to be done, division of resources, where development goes, and all these things are politically led.
Yeah.
Many Kenyans know the power of a politician. Once you are in that office, how he or she is likely to lobby for these resources, for this employment, for this kind of a thing. And that, in my view, is one of the few reasons why this electoral process is so emotive, is so critical to Kenyans, because to them it is life being meant worse, being meant average, or prosperity on the other hand.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm told we are running out of time, but then I think it will be quite good for me to ask you, because we have got 14 days to go, 2 weeks exactly. When we were doing gubernatorial debate, we were lucky enough to start with Machakos County.
Yes.
And so far, I believe that a lot has happened, politically speaking. Where are you in terms of your position as a running mate to Honorable Vinya Ndeti?
Where am I? We are campaigning. I'm doing everything possible 24 hours
yes,
to ensure she wins. From our board surveys and even others, we are achieving that target, and in a very massive way. You wait and see the outcome, God willing, come August 9th. Yes.
And what makes you think that she's the best candidate for Machakos, so to speak? You have several candidates as well.
I can give you several reasons.
Go ahead.
One, this is a well-educated person. Okay? Second, this is a person who understands. She was born, brought up, she has worked, and she has led a section of the people of Machakos. Why a section? She was a member of parliament for Kathiani. During that time, Mavoko and Kathiani were one. We know what she did. Her performance was sterling. She was actually at some point the best in the country. Number two, our agenda for Machakos, especially the manifesto, it is people driven. People were consulted before she came up with this manifesto. The engagement of the Machakos people on what else and what they feel needs to be done, and that manifesto covers all that can make transformation real for Machakos County.
For fairness, I've not interrogated your manifesto. Yes, perhaps three or four key pointers in your manifesto before you come to Macau. Right.
One today, we know health is devolved. The agenda of healthcare in Machakos is key to her. The agenda of agriculture is key to her. The agenda of water, especially water harvesting, that will lead to food security and improvement as far as environment is concerned.
Yes.
Planting of more trees to address climate change is another point. Another one is education, particularly at ECD level. In fact, whenever I'm accompanying her across the county, that is something that touches almost everybody. The manner in which she has come up with the manifesto as a result of these people participation. So those are key, but very few areas I feel if we target those ones, it will. She has even engaged the business community. Under Wiper Party, we have a policy of 24-hour economy, and our leadership, you will see that starting in Machakos. And that what it means more wealth for people of Machakos, more wealth for the companies working there, and improving, continuous improvement of the business climate within Machakos County. We want to make it the preferred, such that whenever you come within this region, the region of Eastern Africa, you talk about Kenya, Machakos comes to your mind, because the necessary infrastructure will be there, the necessary business climate is going to be there, and the best taxation regime, we believe, is going to be there. And above all, we want to ensure rule of law reigns in Machakos.
You know why? It's quite, I think, whether it's a coincidence also because he's running for senatorial seat in Nairobi, and which means that if Honorable Vinya Ndeti takes the lead, he will be tasked to oversight and give her money to Machakos County. Let me ask you, your thought in terms of oversight. How would you handle that if you're elected?
Thank you. That's a good
question. Because Nairobi is one of the biggest economy in the country.
Yes,
absolutely. Right.
Nairobi, and you must remember that the oversight role of a senator is national. While, of course, I have to impact my home county, which is Nairobi. I have arguably the best manifesto out there. It's on my social media. If you allow me, I'll share the link. I have 7 things that as part of my oversight role as a senator, I am bringing within the first 100 days of my election.
In 1 minute?
In 1 minute, in 1 minute, and I will list.
Yes.
Number one, I am committing to end my campaigns and my politics on August 9th. We've been treated to 5 years of continuous campaigning. I don't intend to do that after August 9th. I intend to concentrate on serving, on performing my role as a senator. Number two, I'll be calling here in Nairobi County, because it's my home county. I'll be inviting all the elected officials, right from governor to MCA. We sit down, we synergize our manifestos, because each one of us has a manifesto. Why? We don't want confusion. We want one manifesto for Nairobi County. Number three, and which will now affect Machakos County and the other counties in the country. There are 3 motions I intend to table in the Senate, on the floor of the Senate, within 100 days. Number one motion is what I am proposing or calling the 50-50 solidarity bill. 50-50 is what? Kenya's national debt is the total national debt is around 11.7, maybe slightly more, maybe slightly less, trillion shillings.
Yes.
Yeah. That is an untenable economic situation. So I am saying we reduce the salaries and allowances of all elected officials by 50% until we can pay 50% of that bill. Mkenya anaendelea kuumia sahi. Yeah. After we have just mentioned unga hapa. And things may grow. Reducing the price for 28 days is not a solution. We need to find a permanent solution to those life issues. So that's one bill. Second bill, I'm going to ask Parliament to declare corruption a national emergency. That is what we are talking about with IEBC and DCI, Kinoti, and all these other issues. It's corruption. Pure and simple. Yes. And it is being fronted by politicians. We declare a national emergency on corruption. It will free the government to take necessary action against those people who we already know. These are things we know. Now, number three, I'll be tabling a motion to cause the African dress, the ones that kitenge, Ankara kind of dress, to become an acceptable form of official dress, not just in Parliament, but even in any other office.
I'm sure we are running out of time.
We are running out. Okay. Next time.
Finally, somebody is making a joke of Machakos County that we have got senator who is a female. Now we have Honorable Vinyandeti wants to be the governor. We have got a woman rep. So people are calling it Machakos Girls. Is that...
Well, we're not concerned, and we have a club of men that has been there, and that has run down everything. I think let's have respect for our female political leaders.
I mean, important.
The thing is, the three incoming candidates, the three incoming political leaders,
are all fit to be.
Yes, they all fit, and not only fitting, not only qualifying. These are people with track records. Okay, the outgoing ones, they have destroyed everything, including the systems of governance that could have ensured Machakos could have been where it ought to be today. And we are not there. So let's try them.
Let's try them.
There is also the issue of gender parity in this country. People should be congratulating Machakos and the Wiper Party for that kind of initiative.
Machakos is just a stone throw away from Nairobi. So anytime you want to go to Machakos, just drop down there very fast. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming over. And we wish you all the best. With 14 days to go, I know you are busy. We can only wish you all the best because that's what we can do the best. All right? And please tell Mheshimiwa that we need her on the show.
Oh, okay, I will.
We need her over here.
I will almost straight away.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll be speaking to Bernard Makau, who is a senatorial aspirant in Nairobi County, and Francis Mwangangi, who is running for that particular seat of a deputy governor in Machakos County. Let's take a break. But when we come back, I have got two gentlemen. Let's talk about peace and elections. I have got Bishop Jesse Ireri James and Reverend Dr. Josephat Ngumba, who is a pastor. We'll be having, after that hard topic, now let's talk about peace and elections. That is coming up shortly.
We will get money for Kenyans back.
David Mwaure Waihiga of the Agano Party.
Tuko tayari tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance.
Muko tayari kutembea na sisi?
Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party. And
we have wealth in our country.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party. On the battle for State House, the Presidential Debate 2022, July 26th, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. on every screen, speaker and earpiece in Kenya.
Finally, the wait is over. The Sundowner Sunset date is back. Saturday, 30th July 2022. The Grand Collabo, the gorgeous Catherine Donye and the wicked weekend man John Obongo Jr. together on one stage for the first time.
Meanwhile, some country.
Plus, Sir Elvis performing your favorite country hits live. All roads lead to the park in Kitengela, the land of Nyama Choma, for music, dance, food, drink, and so much fun. The Sundowner Sunset date, the Grand Collabo. Mark the date, Saturday, 30th July 2022. Tickets cost 500 shillings at the gate.
Na isitoshe utaosha hata vyombo.
Mimi nioshe vyombo mimi?
Hata unacheza.
Mwanaume mzima mimi nioshe vyombo kwa sababu ya kukula chakula ya hoteli hii mimi.
Wait. Mogaka.
Kwa ofisi.
Plani umepita.
Tangu lini mnaekea mimi michele hivi kama patko? Chukua nyama rudisha huko.
Mimi unapenda kusumbua sasa.
Sipendi kusumbua na leta bwana.
Kwa mtu mimi nataka uchafue.
Nani nionyekaja jina yake saa hivi?
All right, now let's shift gears and talk about peace and elections with just 14 days. Actually, there's 2 weeks to go. And after having that hard and topic in terms of elections, DCI and IEBC, now let's talk about peace. Because without peace, we can never have it. We all know what happened in 2007, all the way back to 1992. It followed us sometimes in 2017, but it was managed. But this time around, all the faith-based organizations, the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, the police, and even you as a citizen, we all have that responsibility to make sure that we have got a peaceful election. And I've got two gentlemen who are able to help me get that discussion right on the way. I have got Reverend Dr. Josephat Ngumba, who is a pastor of Omega Pentecostal Church, Kasarani, and an overseer of Nairobi region. He is also a member of the National Prayer Committee. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
As well as Bishop Jesse Ireri James, who is the presiding bishop of Gospel Revival Wave Church and chairman, National Prayer Committee. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
This comes at a time where, as the nation, we are at the tipping point of an election, quite precisely. I don't know what is your feeling to start with. Let me start with you, Chairman. What is your general feeling out there?
The general feeling is that the politicians are doing their work.
Yes.
And also, the Kenyans are doing their work. Mm. And the feeling is things will be all right. There will be peace in this nation when we are coming to the election 2022. Yes. We believe that as you look at the things, this far we have come well. This far the campaigns have gone well. This far things are not turning south. A few things are trying to come up here and there, but you see people have consistently continued just to campaign, and people have followed the campaigns peacefully.
Yes.
We have had very little disturbances, and so we are trusting God that we shall go to the end with this kind of a peace. Yes.
What about you?
Thank you so much for having us here.
Karibu.
And we thank God. Now, in the past, we have had cases of people fearing and they feel like it's not safe. But as my colleague is saying, this time we want to assure people, we as church leaders, that we are for peace. And as much as people feel they are not comfortable, we are there for them to tell them that it will be a peaceful election, an election that is good, and we are assuring them. So our work is to assure people peace will prevail in this nation. And when peace prevails in this nation, of course, people will be comfortable. They will be doing their things well. And election is one time, we normally say it's a one-time event. It will come and go, but we'll stay there. So our work as church leaders is to tell people we have a peaceful election.
Chairman, you must be having a lot of work, so to speak, because as a chairman of the National Prayer Committee, which is conducted every year, I would imagine how your table is always full, more so at this particular point, because all eyes are on the religious leaders across board to make sure that we have got, that's a stability in terms of during this time of an election. What does it take as a church to make sure that you work hand in hand with the police, you work hand in hand with the general public, the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, and all those other agencies, including the church faith-based organizations, to ensure that we have that peaceful electoral environment?
Basically, what we have done as a church, we have distributed ourselves in most of the areas. One, you find if there's a commission of cohesion, we have some of us who are there working with the cohesion team.
Yes.
If it is in the areas of IBC, when there are things that are going on there, you'll find part of us are there.
You have representation.
People who are there, speaking to these people. If it is the area of politicians, we are also in all political parties, kind of, in most of the political leaders. And especially the people who are on the top there. We have our own people who are still with them. Like in this year, we organize such that different organizations are working directly and even giving these leaders and these people in the political arena to sign, even to tell Kenyans we shall be peaceful. So we have distributed ourselves. Then we have the wing of prayers, whereby there is also the people who are praying. So what we are trying to do to make sure that we are getting into a peaceful election is that distributing ourselves to talk to Kenyans, to talk to different leaders, to talk to different sectors, so that everybody is being taught peace, peace. Then the wing of prayer. The prayer now is pushing very hard to pray for the nation.
Yes. You know what, Reverend Dr. Because when you compare in 2002, 2007, 2013 and 2017, this time around everything seems to be quite normal. In such a time in 2002, the tension was so high in this country, but right now you walk around at 10 in the night, 11 in the night, everybody is going about their business. What would you attribute this to?
Well, we attribute that to God.
Right.
Because last time, you remember, we as church leaders, we were accused that we are doing nothing. And that was the notion that was there, moving there, that what are the church people doing? But this time, as my chairman is saying, we have decided to take it on ourselves.
Deliberately.
Deliberately, so that we will not be accused. And one of the things that we have done is serious prayers. Serious prayers. You know, prayer changes things. And we have gone, actually we have just finished what we call in our team, the Peace Prayer Caravan. Going round all the 47 counties, sensitizing people on the need of a peaceful election, on the need of an election that has no violence. And I can tell you, the response was great. People came in large numbers. I can assure you, there's nobody who wants fighting, and there's nobody who wants violence in this nation. I don't think so. I don't think people like that. It is only by the way that things come and happen. But I think we needed to sensitize our people and to tell them, now look, you are my brother, irrespective of where you come from, your tribe what you are doing. We are one. And so I can tell you for a fact that when we moved, we put that message of peace, because we as church leaders, we should preach peace. Our God is a God of peace.
Yeah.
And irrespective of where you come from, what you are doing, we are peaceful people. So when we went round, I can attribute one of the things that has helped us is those prayers. And as my chairman is saying, we went everywhere telling people to pray. And at least when you have a heart that is peaceful, even when you are doing things, I can assure you what you are saying is true. When we moved, people are doing their own things.
Yes.
People are just doing their own normal businesses. It's not like the last campaigns whereby you felt that there was tension.
Exactly.
I was telling my chairman last night in the place where I stay, people are doing campaign up to 11 midnight.
And perhaps you can say that we, as a nation, we learned our lesson in the past.
Yes.
And we're not like to go back there, Chairman, right?
What is happening is that somebody told me from Sudan. He said in Sudan, southern Sudan, when you start war, people fight long. He said in Kenya, when you start war, people cannot fight long. Why? They are busy. So
that's a nice one.
He was saying in their place, people are doing nothing. So fighting is an occupation. At least you are busy fighting. They have nothing to lose. So he was saying, he was looking at here, he was telling us, look at these buildings. A Kenyan would imagine bringing this building down, and he can't think about it. So eventually he starts to sober up. And again, because they are busy, they cannot sustain a long war, because after 2-3 weeks, they realize that we have to go back to this, we have to go back to this, we have to go to... So basically what is happening is, the more the nation develops, the more the nation grows, the more people are becoming busy. The more people become busy, the more they think we can be doing our things instead of doing those other things. So that's part of it. And the other part of it, as Doctor has said, let me use 2007, because I was there in the front line of all these things. We as a church were totally divided. And we even argued and almost fought on who do you support, who do I support.
Right.
Today what we have decided is support the one you want freely, without any condemnation, without any feeling, without any intimidation, without any demonizing. Do what you feel. But remember, we are one. As we are preaching God, we are preaching Jesus, we are preaching the kingdom, and again we are preaching peace. So we have given everybody. That other time we were demonizing one another, and so eventually there was no complete spiritual covering in the nation. We were divided. Today we are not divided, but we are not supporting one person. Do what you want freely, as the way you want it. Do it.
Chairman, where does peace start from?
It starts from the heart of men. When men know that you matter,
yes,
and I matter, your existence, my existence, your freedom, my freedom is allowed,
right,
and is accepted.
Yes.
And you are free to make your own choices, and you are free to do what you want to do. So I don't coerce you, because peace, I'm trying to coerce you to follow me.
Exactly.
I mean, fighting and violence is, I'm trying to coerce you to do something.
Yes.
But now if I accept that you have your personality, your reasons of doing what you do, I have my personality, reasons of doing what I'm supposed to do, as if it's not, as long as it's not criminal activity, as long as it's not against the law, give me freedom. Take your freedom, and we move together. Yes.
You know what, Daktari, it sometimes becomes so difficult when you have got your chairman and I ask you a question to think that you might contradict yourself. Later on you'll be put on a crossroads. You did answer that correctly. You did get the memo. But let me just ask, anytime you are in a church or for a service, for example, and you see the faithful coming to get that spiritual nourishment, and a politician walks in, then takes over the microphone, and at that particular point the church is always left behind. The only thing you can get is a salutation, mchungaji, this and that, and a minute later they're all gone.
Yeah.
How is this changing? Because in the past, a few months ago, the church from the Muslim community, all churches across said no politics in church. Has that changed? If yes, to what extent?
Yeah, I can say that we have greatly changed. These times are not the times that were there before.
Right.
Because you remember, it's like politicians were bosses, to say. It's like they were big people.
Yes.
But we have also come to realize they are our brothers and sisters. And that big syndrome of, I'm the big man here. I'm the one who we walk in and say, we have changed.
But is that the case?
Yes, because I can tell you for a fact, the other day there was some politician that came to a certain church that I know, and they were told, number one, you are here for a service. You come in, just get in.
But do they even get that?
Yes, I can tell you it happened.
Okay.
Come, do the service with us. Let's finish everything. Then we give you permission, and then you talk there to your people. Because in the past, what they used to do is they come and, it's like they ambush you.
Yes.
I want to come here, I'm going to this and this service, I'm going to this and this service, I want to ask for a vote. Fine. And you know that sometimes they will even come with cash and tell you, I want to support. And then it's like the pastor is confused and so on. Nowadays, it's not happening. I can tell you for a fact, and that has happened. When you come, you have come to worship, realize that these are God's people, these are the people that we serve, and when you come, you have to follow our order. When you follow that order, then I'll take you also as our member. I can tell you for a fact, some people have changed, and it is changing. This is not the politics of some, years back, where we were manipulated and we were not seen as men of God. And as my chairman is saying, this time we have decided to take our stand as servants of God, people of God who know why they have been called. The other day we were saying, a politician is there for only 5 years. Some of us have preached since the era of Moi. And I'm still a pastor.
Yes.
Nobody can remove me from there. The other day we were making a joke, even when you die, you'll be called Pastor so-and-so. But when a politician gets out, you'll be called the late. Although we are also the late, but my title remains
Pastor so-and-so.
Pastor so-and-so.
Right.
So when you come, there is that respect. And we have also come to realize that these people, when they come, they are just, people like us. It's only that when they are given much publicity, they take over and they seem to be the people that are, they are taking control over everything. But we have taken our stand. We know we are servants of God. God has called us to do our work. Let the politicians do their work, and we also do our work. And it is changing, my brother, I can tell you.
Okay.
It has typically changed.
Chairman, as a chairman of the National Prayer Committee, it takes time, for example, to organize such kind of events. And you'd imagine each and every time we have got the Weshimiwas, the invited guests from, different jurisdictions to attend such kind of activity. As a nation, we would be glued there watching for 2-3 hours, pledging and praying and promising and making all manner of promises. We make 4 steps ahead, forward, and then later on the political rallies, we make several steps back. Perhaps you imagine that this is taking us back as a country in terms of growth, our spiritual growth and stability. Does this worry you?
Okay, first of all, let me address the question that Reverend has talked about the politicians taking over services.
Yes.
We will say it is two-way. Some places still happening, but some places it's not happening. And we have reduced it. And how did we reduce it? Because also we are doing consultations.
Yes.
And we are trying to encourage one another. The fact that we are trying to work as one team, it is helping us to do some we inspect ourselves, we look at ourselves inside and we say, where do we go wrong? How can we do it? How can we encourage one another? How that kind of a thing. It is helping more and more to overcome those things. And then also he has addressed something very important. We also have come to a place to appreciate who we are. Who we are. We have a number of our churches, we have grown to a place whereby we are able to do our own things.
Yes.
So this kind of intimidation with money, we are getting over it. So we are not getting intimidated with money. And I can tell you that has helped the church to keep on overcoming and overcoming. So most politicians will come to church and they'll be given a space. One thing, we give them space. Remember, these politicians are who? Who are you media people? Who are the politicians? Who are athletes? Who are others? Who are lawyers? All of you are members of our churches. All of you. Whether you are a politician, whether you're a media person, whether you are running for the nation, you are members of our churches. And therefore there's no, so we can say politicians, keep off church. All that we say is, politicians, when you come to church, you shall allow us to handle you the way we want to handle you for the best outcome of the service. So I can give you a lot of time to speak. I can deny you time, depending on what I'm doing that particular day. So those kind of things. Coming back to your question, but let me first of all clarify something. We are not in the prayer committee that runs the government program.
Okay.
I think that one we need to clarify.
Okay, it's good for clarification.
We are in our national prayer committee, which brings churches together to pray for the nation.
All right.
It's a prayer movement that we work, several of us. I'm the chairman. We have a director called Apostle Kimani William. That's John Kimani William from Nakuru, the director of the MPCI. And then ourselves as a team, we organize prayers for the entire nation.
Yes.
And especially the church wing. So we are dealing mostly of the church wing, bringing the church together. So I think it's good to clarify that.
Good clarification.
But also to address your point that when they normally go to Safari Park, and they even shake hands and they even do all those things, and tomorrow they go back to politicking. But basically, one thing we know in this life, like now when they go that day, there are still a few things that God ministers to their hearts. And if you realize it slows down some things, it even slows down some of the things they speak when they go there. But sometimes, of course, politicians are politicians. Not politicians are politicians. Every people are who they are.
Yes.
The media people, you are what you are. We, the preachers, we are what we are. There's what we become. Where to do our work.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll come back to you briefly, Chairman. But Dr.
Yes.
Whenever you go out there preaching peace, the chairman has said that you've gone through around 47 counties. You meet people from different, races, different tribes, living together, going about their business. Is this exactly what is being translated, to the kind of politicians we have right now? Because when you go for a rally, it's mixed. When you go for voting, the politician would want to divide Kenyans across tribal lines. What do you say about that?
Yeah, basically our people, what we have learned from going round, our people are one. Our people, when they are doing business, they are one. When Mama Mboga is selling the mbogas there, I'll go and buy there.
Right.
And if I don't even have money, she can give me credit and tell me, bring tomorrow. Because we coexist. I can say that for a fact, when politics come, that is when we start knowing, he's not our person. He's from this, this other tribe. And we get divided. But then, what we have been telling the people, and that is what I want to insist on, we are one. And one of the message that we have been passing across is that elections is a one-time event. It will come, and it will not, whether my candidate, as Bishop is saying, all of us have our own candidates that we are supporting. But there is no one time, even if you support them, it will not add more. You not see them coming and telling you that I have brought you ugali.
Yeah.
You go continue with your own problems. And if there are problems that were there, you still have them.
Yes.
And that person may be. In fact, the other day we were talking with one of them, and they were saying that when a politician is in need, that is the time they will call you. Yes. Like now, there are so many phone calls. Oh, I'm coming to your church. Oh, I'll go. But then when they are gone, you never see that number again. When they pass, the windows are up. So your problems continue. So what we are saying to the Kenyans, and that is what even the church is preaching,
yes,
let's maintain our peace. Because when we maintain our peace, you still remain my brother. You still remain my sister. When the problem comes is when, even in the village, we will do them communally. You know, right. It's a communal thing. Yes. The water pipe is burst. We go there and repair it because it's for our own good.
Okay.
And all so let's Kenya coexist in peace and even teach. It's very important we teach our politicians.
Your mic is off. It will be corrected pretty soon. All right. Chairman, I'm told that you have got a peace caravan coming up this weekend, if I get it right.
So we did the prayer, the peace prayer caravan.
Yes.
In the month of May, whereby we traversed by road 43 counties by road daily from 9th of May to 26th of May. We traveled from Nairobi and went down through eastern, we started in Nairobi, Kajiado, and then we went to Machakos and Makueni, then we entered Coast. Then we did the whole of Coast, then we came through Garissa and all that. We went the 43 counties, driving every day, doing 3 hours meeting in every county. And one of the things we were doing, we were praying for peace in this nation, speaking to people to keep peace. Then also we are praying for good leadership, God to give us good leadership. We are praying also for the nation of Kenya to prosper.
Yes.
To go to the next level, to go even to the second world. Then also we are praying for a mighty revival, the move of God in the country. Basically we were praying for that. We spoke to people, 43 counties. Then the remaining 4, that is Turkana, Marsabit, Wajir, and Madera, we sent groups by air. Of course, Madera and Wajir, they have normal flights. So the other 2 is chartered aircraft.
Yes.
And we sent teams there to go and pray. Then on 28th of May, we had a prayer rally at Caravan Stadium.
Yes.
So we spoke to every Kenyan, or not to every Kenyan, to the Kenyans we met in every county, why we should be one people, why we should even pray for peace, why even we should encourage peace and love one another. Then this week, starting Thursday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we shall be at Caravan Stadium in the gymnasium, praying every hour from 9 to 6. So 3 days we shall be praying and fasting.
That's 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Right.
Praying and fasting for 3 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That is 28, 29, 30th. And then we shall be there the whole day praying. We have mobilized people from all over to come and we pray together. The 28th one of May, we were about 30,000 people.
That is huge.
We were about 30,000 people praying from 47 counties.
Yes.
We ensured we had 47 counties there because we had already gone around them.
Right.
So we weren't telling them to follow us.
Yes.
Then I'll say now I'm back here. So 28, 29, 30, we shall be in Caravan at the gymnasium. Then on the 31st, which is a Sunday, at 2, people will leave their churches, and we all converge at the main stadium up to 6. We do the final prayers. There's a process we have done from February. From February, we've been having prayer sessions throughout. Last month we did, that is June, we did Nakuru for 4 days. Mid this month, we did Eldoret for 3 days. Now we are coming to culminate, from February, we are coming to culminate on this weekend, this week, praying, talking to Kenyans. We shall be live in several of our media houses. We've been live, and we are telling Kenyans it's time to maintain peace. It's time. These leaders, our leaders, and there are few things, if I may add, there are few things that have changed. Since the new constitution came, just before the new constitution, during the reign of Mwai Kibaki, the late president, one thing that happened was there was this devolution of funds through CDF. Then we had now the new constitution that devolved them more officially in the constitution through the county governments. Before, it was leader take it all. We shall develop Kakamega depending on what the president wants.
Yes.
We shall develop Machakos depending on what the president wants. These days it's written, give Kakamega this much, give Machakos this much.
Yes.
So there are things also which have changed the dynamics of leadership. Though still the president has a lot of power and has a lot of things he says, but at least when we could fight over nothing happens in our place. Today there is that devolvement of funds, and it has helped so much in easing some of the tensions, because we are able to see our own tarmac.
Right.
We have our Wambora there to fight, our Gamanti there to fight, our whatever. So eventually it has eased a lot of things in the nation also. We have to appreciate that kind of a thing, because funds have been devolved to a good extent, even though still the president has a lot of power.
Okay. Wow. That's huge. Daktari, we have got a 3-day marathon prayer session at Kasarani. This must be a huge event. I'll be there. I promise I'll be there.
Karibu.
You can imagine the kind of development that we've had as a nation. Please give me, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are we as a nation? Have we grown morally, spiritually, intellectually? Have we learned from our past?
Yes, I can say yes. I can give it 6 out of 10. And the reason why I'm doing that, in the past elections, or even 7, let me say 7.
Yes.
In the past, when we were doing, I remember the last time we did the prayer caravan, the media people were here, the BBC, because we were known as people that would fight. But I can tell you, when we went and prayed and did all that we were supposed to do, walikunja virago vyao pole pole, they went back. So that idea of people praying and having peace has contributed. We may not see the 100% that we wanted, but at least I know when I'm taking a stone to throw to my brother, I'm hurting my brother. It's like Bishop was saying, if I destroy this building, our would be okay. When I came here, I was happy. I was saying, this is our heritage. I'm proud of it. But when I destroy it, I will not see it again.
Yes.
So our people are slowly learning. And even if you see, and I can bet you, go outside there, you see that people nowadays, they are not running after, those things that we used to run for. What do I mean? You find that people are, it's like their whole life is in the election.
Yes.
Our whole, being is in that thing. It's like there is no tomorrow.
Right.
But people have learned now. Slowly, they know that I'll do my campaign, but in the evening I'll be in my house.
Right.
That is why people are changing. So I can say we have typically changed it, and if we are not yet full there, I'm told there are some nations, elections will be done and you not know there is an election.
Absolutely.
We have
do it online.
Do it online. But here is like it's like it is the time now. But there are some nations I'm praying, and we are going there very soon. And I can tell you with this one, when we were in Kisii, for example, and we were in town going round, the guys came, wanapita tu, people are just watching, Jingi pitendi, then we do our own things. Even in our place, people are just doing their campaign, people are passing, with an exception of those people maybe who are, I understand there are some people who are, I don't know, I don't have the proof of that they are they are transported there to go and do some chaos and that. But look at the Kenyans today. you can see that people are doing their own business,
which is a good thing.
Which is it's changing, and so much to Christians. As my chairman is saying, we have addressed the people. In the past, we were divided, but now we have gone round speaking in pastors' meeting, telling them, look, you may support your candidate, I may support my candidate, but we are together. We are the people to show the way.
Absolutely.
And that one has eased the tension. So I can say we have improved. The nation has improved, and we are hoping for better results in the days
because
to
even
come.
as media, anytime our colleagues go out there to cover stories, it's quite peaceful. There is no tension in the country, and I think that is the only way to go. Chairman, allow me to give you 1 minute as the chairman to give you a final word, what we should expect coming forward in the next 14 days to come. Are you going to stop on the 31st, or will you continue with the same program even during and after the elections? 1 minute.
Let me say one thing, the power of prayer. The power of prayer. We have seen it. Some of these firings come from people because of spiritual. Okay, there's a lot of spiritualism that goes on with election. There are people who go to witchcraft. There are people who get those spirits. And so there's a lot of spirits that are released in the air. Now, that's where the power of prayer comes.
Yes.
As we pray, we nullify that power. And when you do witchcraft, always the devil will ask for blood. He needs to be paid back with blood. And that's why we fight, trying to pay some blood sometimes. That's part of the causes. Among the other causes, we miss to deal with the causes of these violences. But one of them is spiritual. There are demons that are released all over. And so when we pray, we nullify the power of those spirits. And so the air becomes clean. And that's why we are to do that great sacrifice of making a prayer in 47 counties. 43 were 70 people driving, 70 every day, 3 hours. We were making sure that the spiritual atmosphere is godly atmosphere. And God, Jesus is the Prince of Peace. So the more we release the presence of God in the air, the more there is peace in the land. And we are trusting God. Now, after we finish our prayers on Sunday, we are not finishing prayers there. That is now the finishing of the corporate prayers as a nation. So the next few days, many churches, including where I pastor, we have declared days of prayer and fasting up to election day.
Yes.
And so many churches now will go back to concentrate on prayer. As we continue also to speak to people all over the country, to speak to people, remember we are one nation.
Absolutely.
One people.
Whenever the Bible says that pray without ceasing, we should continue. Gentlemen, thank you so much. I've been speaking to Bishop Dci Ireri James, who is the presiding Bishop of Gospel Revival Wave Church and Chairman National Prayer Committee, as well as Dr. Let me get it right. There you go. Reverend Dr. Josephat Ngumba, who is a pastor of Omega Pentecostal Church, Kasarani, and an overseer of Nairobi region. He is also a member of the National Prayer Committee. But before you go, we have got an amazing topic coming up. And as religious leaders, let me just start with you, Dr. Is marriage a scam? Anytime you're talking to family matters out there in the church, the family teachings, is marriage a scam?
What, sorry?
Marriage. Is it a scam?
Oh, well, we cannot say it's so calm, but we are trying to make it calm in the word of God.
A scam, is it something, an illusion people are not taking seriously?
Yeah, today marriage has been turned to be something else apart from what we know from the Bible.
Right.
Because as we talk about marriage, God is the beginner of families.
Yes.
And there is a way he had set it to be.
Okay.
But nowadays it has been turned to be something else.
Okay.
Yeah, it has been turned to be something else because...
My colleague Jen has got that indeed. I just want to get your... Bishop, I know you've been married for quite so many years. Is it a scam? Does it work?
As I do marriage, first of all, allow me to just welcome every Kenyan for the prayers.
We're running out of time.
Yeah, I will welcome every Kenyan for prayers.
Yes.
Those days we have said 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st at Kasarani Stadium.
Yes.
Marriage. Marriage, I would say generally it is calm.
It's calm.
Yes. Why? Because divorce has not yet grown so much in Kenya.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of, there's there's a lot of things that are trying to affect it.
Okay.
But still, we have not gone far down. I'll say
you know what? That is the discussion that my colleague Jen Wamboy is discussing after this. Is it a scam or is marriage calm? Jen Wamboy with that up next. Wow, I can't wait to watch that. Let's take a break, we'll be right back.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Talk to me, please. Genova, please talk to me. I'm Furna from Green Hill. Are you Genova's lover from the mortal world?
Your body has been damaged. You may not be fit to carry a baby.
No way. I must keep this baby.
Echo.
Give me back my husband! Give me my son! I'm begging you, don't hurt them! Stay away from this and don't interfere. I am begging you, please.
I couldn't find Mrs. Raquel. I think I lost her in the street, and now I also don't know where Mr. Alfonso is.
What do you mean you lost Raquel out in the streets?
I will never be separated again, right, sweetheart?
What will happen is we'll live in the same city and close to each other, but in separate places.
Darling.
Raquel? What are you doing here?
Darling, you're here.
What's the matter, honey?
I got lost.
Leave me, Karen! If you shoot again, I'll kill her!
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us this far. We want to move on to the next segment. And as we always do it every Monday, we have our family conversation. And today's topic is all about marriage. And the question at the center is marriage a scam? We welcome your views, positive, negative, neutral. You are welcome to be part of this discussion. We're using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya on Twitter. Our official station handle ever remains to be at KBC Channel 1. My handle is at Jane Wamboy across all the social media platforms. And I will be giving you our guests' social handles in just a bit. But let me introduce you to them. We have a lady and a gent with us in studio this morning, starting with the lady to my extreme left. She is Maria Nyambane Waweru, who is a journalist and an author of 2 books, one titled Love the Original You, and the second one, Marriage is a Scam. That is the title of the second book. And next to her, to my immediate left, we have Nahashon Waweru Ngugi, who is a youth ambassador as well as a boy, child and youth ambassador, joining us for this conversation this morning. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. We start off with your social media handles so that our viewers can also interact with you. Nahashon?
The Wawerus.
Joint social platform. Okay.
As a family.
The Wawerus.
Yes.
Facebook, Twitter.
Facebook and Instagram. Instagram and YouTube.
All right. Yes. So if you have any questions you want to direct to them, you can always shoot the questions to them. Now, this is not the first time we've had you guys. We had you, I think, over 2 years ago here on Good Morning Kenya. And back then we were talking about an app that you had launched to help parents when it comes to sourcing for schools. Yeah. Quick update on that. How is it going? Let me hear from you, Maria.
It's going so well, actually. That app plus the magazine, they're all going so well.
Yes.
Yeah, that was actually over 3 years ago, because I remember I was not yet a mother.
Congratulations.
I'm a mother of 2 now. Thank you.
All right. Now, before we get deeper into this conversation, Nahashon, you have a movement titled Boxes for Boys movement, given you are a boy, child and youth ambassador.
Yes.
Give us a brief overview of what this movement is about.
The movement about Boxes for Boys, we use the word boxers as just something to associate it with the boys.
Yes.
This is because we want to reach the young boys, especially we are working with the public primary schools. We have a lot of movements working for girls, empowering the girl child. Now, Boxers for Boys is a movement to empower the boy child. By the end of the day, we have empowered all the girl child.
Yes.
And the girl child will be so empowered. But where is this boy who is empowered to handle the empowered girl child? And that's why you come up with the Boxers for Boys.
All right.
Where you go to a school, you talk to boys, you give them boxers as a way of getting them. You give them boxers, you talk to them, you give them some toothbrush, toothpaste. So by the end of the day, they'll be able to empower them, they'll be able to handle the empowered girl. Yeah.
All right. Now, let's get to the conversation for all of the day. The whole question being about marriage and is it a scam? First of all, Maria, you are the author of this book. It's titled Marriage is a Scam. And yet you are married to this gentleman right here with us on set.
Yeah.
Let's start with your thoughts. A yes or no answer. Is marriage a scam?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Nahashon,
Kabisa.
is marriage a scam?
Very.
All right, let me start with you, Nahashon. Why would you say it is a scam?
The point is, the marriage becomes a scam where you realize that what you are told about marriage and what you get in marriage is totally different. And whoever tells you what you'll get doesn't tell you exactly where the problem is.
Okay.
Doesn't not share the problem. It's the issue of where running your own mistakes. And that is the worst type of running. Go and run with your own mistakes. Where I think if it was running with your own mistake, as well, if I run with your own, I avoid the mistakes on my side. But when it comes to marriage, you are just told marriage is sweet, but it has challenges. But you don't tell me which challenges. My friend, go get the challenges on your own. So by the end of the day, you realize, wait a minute, whatever you are telling me, it's exactly totally different. And two, you see, dating and the first 2 years marriage is all about drama. And it's so sweet. It's all about drama. It's all about honeymoon. There is nothing, there is no mistake. Yes. There is no challenge. Everybody talks about hashtag. It's at that time when you have the hashtag marriage works. But now come 2 years to about 5, 6, 7 years there. That's now where it stops from marriage works to now where you get the real thing now. This is the rehearsal of the exam now.
All right.
Exactly.
This is your husband speaking, mind you.
Yeah.
But you also say marriage is a scam.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay. First of all, when I got into marriage, as ladies, we are always told that ndoa ni kuvumilia. That phrase, I heard it so many times. Funny enough, for me, it was easier when I got to marriage. That's one thing I thank God for every day. My marriage was easier. But seeing that this generation, we need instant gratification. One small thing, you're off. One small thing, you need to go. That is where I realized that the challenges that people go through out there, I also went through them. And I'm still in that marriage, and there are challenges I go through that some people can't even have a single minute to take. They just want to go. Regardless of how many kids they are leaving, how their kids are going to survive, they just don't care. And that's where marriage is a scam came into mind.
But don't you think you are misleading those that are still in their single dating phases and they're hoping to get married, but you are married and you're saying marriage is a scam?
Funny enough, it's not a mislead. It's actually a guidance. Because these same people are the ones who are told marriage works with all the social media glamour of how marriage is romanticized to an extreme. that they walk in there and start pressuring other people because they want the same thing that they see out there, not knowing that some of them, it takes a lot to stand on that camera and tell people that it works, even though you know that I fought with someone last night, but I have to be with him because you're working, and smile. We have to go shoot for the magazine. And when we are shooting for the magazine, I'm supposed to be happy and forgot that you pissed me off in the morning. Now, that's not something that I want someone to walk into marriage with. And this issue of people in their early 1920s, now they're making marriage look like it's something so amazing. Then 2-3 years down the line, they're leaving kids, getting married again, as if it's nothing. Like they've made the society so rotten to a point that people will not believe in marriage anymore.
So would you say by virtue of some people marrying young without really understanding what marriage and the weight it comes with is all about, is part of the problem as to why marriage is considered a scam, or rather why you consider it a scam?
That's one of the problems, but there is another bigger problem called, we don't call it the public, and say those people who push me, the parents and the society around me. These are the people who, after dating my wife for 2 years, for the 2 years we were boyfriend and a girlfriend, and then after a service of 6 hours, and taking a vows for just 1 hour, the following morning you expected me to behave like a husband with an experience of 60 years. So it's just a 1 hour thing, taking the vows, 6 hours, which is just a ceremony, eating and dancing, and automatically converts me from a boyfriend to a husband, automatically. That is it. And then the next thing you tell me is that pesa yenu ni pesa ni kikapu moja. Put all your money in one basket, period. And then when responsibilities start coming, that's when you realize, yes, it's one basket may work, but realistically, the money for the wife, it's her money. But the money for the husband, it's all money, it's a global money. So by the end of the day, you realize, if I had come with this mentality of, let us take all money into one basket, and I started with that and I fix it to that, it won't work. That's the point. So I think the whole thing is, and the whole issue you're bringing about the marriage is a scam is that when you're going to that marriage, don't go static. Don't go with the notion what the public has told you, what the parents told you, or what the pastor told you. No, go there going to run alone. Indeed, whatever they told you, it's not what you're going to get there. It's totally different.
All right, so from what I'm picking from what you just said, you know, by virtue of transitioning from dating fiancé to now being married, there's the wedding that happens.
Yes.
Now, is it a question of marriage being a scam or the wedding being the scam?
Okay. Wedding is one of the scams in marriage. Wedding is one of the scams.
Because wedding is what changes this whole narrative about now
wedding,
become one.
Wedding, indeed, that's chapter 1 of this book. You see, she could not have released a book without the husband first going through it and approving it. Wedding, it's one of the biggest scams you have.
Yes.
And like we always say, the bigger the wedding, the higher the chances of, the lower the chances of sustaining it.
Okay.
And the more difficult it is to leave it. Even if you are going to suffer there, the more difficult it is to leave it. And then you look at those people who appeared in your wedding. Who are they? You don't know them. And whatever or what transpired there, you only left me with a debt. Probably like our marriage, we had invited about 120 people, only to end up with 600 people. So we had about 500 plus gate crashers. By the end of the day, you are left with a debt of 80,000. Go sort it around. Money goes to one basket. Now go sort it around and tell me whether the debt will go to one basket.
Yes.
And then the other question comes in. Why should we glorify the wedding so much, which is just 6 hours thing probably, and vows for 1 hour, for some few minutes I put it, and a lot of dancing and a lot of food. But by the end of the day, there is something which you call marriage, which is forever. So I think the whole issue is, the more you pressure to wedding, and like I tell, I'm one of the people who preach. When you go to church, I'm one of the preachers.
Preacher.
Yes, but I usually tell the youth, let's not be victims of the religion. Religion is the opium of masses. Let's not be a victim of that. Let my pastor not push me to do a wedding if I'm not ready to do it, or if I cannot do it. You get. And the moment I do that wedding to the public, you know, the whole church wedding, a very big wedding, the more it is difficult for me to express my problems in my wedding, in my marriage.
Let me come to you, Maria, with the same aspect of looking at the wedding and marriage and thinking they are one and the same thing, and maybe consequently drawing that conclusion that marriage is a scam. Is the wedding or the marriage a scam?
Actually, it starts from the wedding and heads to marriage. Because, you know, when you are planning that wedding, when you are doing that wedding, you are dating. And during the dating life, you could do anything. Like, I had the option of leaving you But I did not leave because you are there pampering me, taking care of me. Now we've gotten to marriage. You are there thinking that, oh, she can't go anywhere now. You get there.
I'm done with the courtship.
Good. I'm done with the courtship. You got there, you relax. For me, I thought that this is you that you showed me. Then I get into your house. I find out the real you because you can't pretend. Now, the scam started when we were getting married in that wedding. Now we get to marriage. The fact that people have already put in their heads that I am going to find this person, do a huge wedding, get married, stay with this person, have this number of kids, all those things are something that you romanticize before you get into it. But once you get into it, you realize that this is the biggest scam. Now, to some people, they know that before. Like, you already know that things are not going to be as simple as I want them to be. Or if I get to that home, in case he becomes his real self, or in case she becomes her real self, I know I can handle, because I knew in the first place that there's a difference between courtship and marriage. And marriage comes with responsibilities.
Yes.
Now, the scam continues all through. Then, since you did a huge wedding, it's hard to leave because everyone is like, na venye alifanya harusi kubwa. But that phrase kills a lot of people. It kills a lot of people through suicide because they have to take it. You're emotionally dying, but you can't do anything because you did a wedding. People thought that you are the Romeo and Juliet of today, and now you are suffering, and there's nothing you can do.
You brought out that aspect of the scam having started when you were dating, boyfriend, girlfriend, graduate to fiancé, fiance, and then finally getting married. But that comes in the question of time. You had mentioned 2 years before you finally got married. When it comes to dating, do you think we accord enough time in this courtship period to really learn the other individual? Because again, as you say, after marriage, people sort of now become themselves. But when you're dating, nobody comes with a recommendation letter from their ex that this one was a good partner or this one was toxic. Nobody comes with that.
Okay, let me tell you something.
So the whole question of they get to show them their real selves.
Yeah, they can't do it during dating. Because the fact is, whether we date for 9 months, whether we date for 2 years, remember we are not living together. So you can fake for that lunch date, that dinner date. You can fake for a getaway together. That's easy. But now when it comes, even if you fake for 9 months, 2 years, 5 years, it doesn't change a thing. Now call it marriage. In fact, studies show that people who get into marriage through come we stay actually tend to end up staying together happier and longer than the people who do weddings. Because, you know, come we stay, you started dating by coming to stay. So,
you see how this is.
So, you are able to cope, tolerate, compromise, communicate, everything during that time. But for you, you are dating. Then, 2 years down the line, we have a baby, we have another. So, I've already tolerated everything. What's new?
Okay. Now, let's hear from a man's point of standing. The same question about dating and the time that you feel is appropriate enough to say, okay, I've known this woman and I think she's the one that I want to make my wife.
You see, and in my many years of teaching, and there's something I asked people, there are those who study from class 1 to class 8 and get 400. There are those who study from class 1 to class 8 and get 200. There are somebody who will go from class 6, 7, and 8 and get 400 comfortably.
Yes.
So the issue of running somebody, it is different from person to person. The same with issue of faking. For me, let me first give it. For me, I was a very good person. And there's a question I give people.
Are you still a good person?
She can answer that. And there is a question I give people. My mom had brought me up for 28 good years. And then we dated with her for 2 years. And then exactly after getting married, you tell me, love her more than your mom, who have brought you up for 28 years. Let her have me more than her dad, who have brought her up for 24, 25 years. You see, when the reality now starts hitting in, you're waking up next to this person, the responsibility to this person has decided not to wake up to prepare the kid to go to school. You have to do it, which your daddy didn't tell you to do, which my mom didn't tell me to do. So the whole thing becomes difficult because when you talk of dating is an issue of how fast do you run each other person and how far do you run, because you cannot run 100%. And the other question is how worse does this person fake? The best he fakes, the worse it will be by the end of the day. The worst he fakes, the more real he will be. So, and that's why we started by saying, that's why I support her saying that Kamustay works better. Because in Kamustay you don't fake. Kimeumana. So how do we do? Let's try it. It works, it works. And then you don't have the pressure that you have to be together. You get the point. But now, when you have dated and then you have 2 years, you have planned the wedding, you have planned everything, and the wedding is done. and now you are married, the problem starts coming in. Where do you go? What do you do at that time? Is there a chance of getting back? Is there a chance of, there are many ways of conflict resolution. Is there a chance of you going back to your parents' home 2 months after the grandmother's wedding in Safari Park or wherever? Is there a chance of going back to your parents? Why? Because alinifukuza or because he's not doing ABCD. So at that time, what I've just started saying, dating, all about dating and the first 2 years. It's all about drama. So whatever happens there, my friend, don't take it. That's why you're talking of a scam. Don't put it in your heart. Probably put it in your lungs because it may change.
Now,
it may change.
Let me ask you, Maria, is marriage too big of a commitment because marriage is termed as a forever? Man and woman shall come together, let no man tear asunder, till death do you part. Is this too big a commitment for people to really comprehend what it means?
Yeah, it is. And the difference is times have changed. Now it's even more huge than it was before. Before, marriage was sacred. Like people keep saying, it was ordained by God.
Yes.
It was very sacred. And you respected your marriage in all ways. And before, when we were getting into that marriage, you all have responsibilities to, each of us has their own responsibilities. Now the times have changed. If I walk into a man's house, I'm married to you, I also have to work. You also have to help in parenting. So the pressures have become too much, and people don't really, times have not changed for women. We still must have children. Like I always say, and I say it as a joke, but I always say that, I always tell him every day, the only thing I've not figured out is how you can help me carry the babies when they're in my belly. That's the only thing I've not figured out. Because both of us can work.
If only we could figure that out. Brothers.
That's the point. Both of us can work.
Yes.
Both of us can provide for the family. He can wake up, prepare his son to school, and take him to school. I can leave him with the kids and go work. That's easy. But right now, when my 6-month-old wakes up in the night to cry, I am the one to breastfeed, not him. So the times have changed, yes, but they have not entirely changed for us. But we have to live marriage the way we used to live. Yet at the end of the day, he look at me and tell me, "Bede, how is your job going?" But now, when we say marriage is a scam, we realize that in all these aspects, the major problem is this commitment. It's a lifetime thing. It's not, sometimes we feel it's selfish because as time change, the commitment doesn't reduce. It still remains a forever thing, and we have to live by it. So people change, their personalities change.
Absolutely.
And that's where they can't stay in that commitment anymore.
So essentially, are we handed down a scam? Because, I mean, our folks, the older generation, we always hear of been married 44 years, been married 38 years, been married 23 years.
But let me make something clear.
And they never give us the details of what it has taken to run those 40 plus
give
years.
You a high five for that point. It's those who are ahead of us who gave us the project without the documentation. You get the point? They gave us the project without the documentation, or they gave us the wrong documentation. Nowadays, when you are getting married, this is the phrase which mothers are giving the daughters. Usisuburiwe, by the way, hujafukuzwa kwenu. So when you are going to that marriage, you know, even if it goes bad, one leg is where? And then this leg goes with this notion, sijafukuzwa. And probably we are the daddy's girl. And this man, you know, in every system, there must be collisions. So, and one day this collision happens. You remember, I'm on the other side, I'm a daddy's girl. So I can go back. That's the whole thing. And then it all starts with, even if unaniacha niko na kazi yangu, I can sustain myself. So the whole thing, it's like you are given the wrong manual, or you are never given the manual by the end of the day. So I think the whole thing is, before you get into this thing, just know you don't have the manual. You are going to create one in the process. Yeah. If you create the wrong manual, my friend,
yes,
it will not work. If you create the right manual, it will work. So the whole thing is, if you improve your friend, if you improve your wife, you improve your husband, it will run. On our Friday night drive, on Friday night, there's a question I asked ladies. If this guy doesn't drink, if this guy gives you money, if this guy comes home early, and if this guy doesn't cheat, is he the best guy?
No.
Is he the dream guy? That was the question I asked. Because every day you ask, the major problem is he's cheating, he's drinking. But you meet somebody like this, somebody divorced their pastor, who is not cheating, who is not drinking, who gives her money, and who is kama hayuko kwa nyumba kwa kanisa. So where did the problem arise from?
Yes.
So that's the way we are talking about this. It means there is more deeper than we know.
Now, let's go back to that commitment part. Because even when you are doing the wedding, you're told you shall only be 3 truthful and faithful to one partner. But along the way, people change. And by virtue of having made this vow that I shall not have eyes for any other person, that does not distract your eyes from seeing other people as being attractive. That does not stop you from maybe falling in love with somebody else while you're still in that marriage. This aspect of commitment and understanding that the person you wed today might not be the same person that you are married to a year to come, and comprehending that before you get into this marriage. Let me hear from you, Maria.
First of all,
because people do fall out of love.
People do fall out of love, and that is why we say dating is just drama. Because when we are dating, so infatuated, there's this deep lust. But when it comes to love, love is something that grows. And people have different personalities. Like, I come to you, this is my personality. When I get mad, this is what I do. When I feel sad, I don't communicate. I look for a shoulder to lean on, hence cheating. When I am not happy, I don't come to you. Or when I'm happy, I come to you. When I need to celebrate, I have boys to celebrate with, not you. But when we were together, you told me that I am your everything. People do fall out of love. But you've been committed to someone for the rest of your life, and you are told that you need to stick to this. Now, normally, they say that the only important thing in marriage is communication, which I agree. Communication is everything. Tell me, I like this, I hate this. For you to be able to be like my boys, when I'm happy to come to you, this is what I want you to do. But at the end of the day, I can't satisfy you, as in, I am not created or made or born to just make you and you happy. That's not how it works.
Yes.
I was not born to make you happy. First of all, find your own happiness. But if your happiness is not with me, then to start with, that's why we say marriage is a scam. Because in the beginning, you made me believe that I'm your happiness, I'm your everything. You complete me. That's the biggest lie people say. But in real sense, we know we don't complete each other.
Yes.
God forbid something happens, you won't be there. I'm left to raise your kids. And in raising your kids, you won't be there. But now I'll fall in love with someone else. That's not wrong. It happens. But at the end of the day, some people even do fall in love when you're still there. Why? Because the completion ended.
Now, Nashon, I came across a statement where women were saying men get the better part of the bargain in a marriage than women. True or false?
There are some things men can't do. It's naturally. I cannot carry our babies in my womb. I even don't have one. I cannot, siwezi nyonyesha watoto. That's a fact. So naturally, in a marriage, there are some things the wife can do. And okay, we can say they are the most difficult, but she has to do it. That's how the nature is. But
do you think, my question is, do you think a man's life gets easier after marriage and a woman's gets more challenging?
There is a
looking at the social construct of gender roles.
There is a picture which usually goes on of a chicken, a big cock before which represents a man before marriage, and then another one which is defeathered after getting married, showing that. And then for the women, it's opposite. It's defeathered before marriage, and after marriage, it's so big. It has been fed very well. But that illusion is wrong. Like what I see, that illusion is wrong because if my life becomes difficult and my wife's life becomes easier, it means we won't work. Because I probably have more responsibilities, I'm more stressed than her. Probably I'm not sharing any of those to her. That means I'm in my own circle, and she's in a different place. So if you can get away, so that fallacy of man's life becomes easy, that's a lie. Or women's life becomes, that's a lie. It doesn't happen.
Maria, do you agree with him? Or rather with that statement, men's lives get easier, women's lives get more challenging after marriage?
That is the one part I say it depends on the marriage. Because, for example, there is nature's way of how women were created. Women were created to make sacrifices. And the minute you get into marriage, your entire life is about making sacrifices. Actually, your life starts there. Making sacrifices. I have to make sacrifice for my husband, for my kids. And now when it comes to a man, things are not like that. They were not made to make, men are naturally selfish beings. That's a fact. They are naturally, they can't help it. It's in them. But at the same time, they are wired to provide and protect. And there's nothing they need to do or defend themselves about that. So it depends with the marriage. Like for example, for my marriage, I have a balance whereby I'll never stress about finances, because there are things that should stress me more than that. When I'm broke or when I have money, he needs to know I'm okay. He needs to make sure I'm okay. But that's my way of viewing things. Other people, now they'll get into that marriage and put in their mind that, his life is easy. Now I can't stay in this marriage because he's not doing this and this. But you've not come into a place whereby you agree that no matter what, I'll not be stressed about finances. Whether I have money or not, that is not my stress to carry. But for him, he knows very well that naturally I make sacrifices because I was made, that's how God created us, to make sacrifices. My social life will go down. Everything, like I can't just plan a trip. I need to go to coast. Let me just book a flight and go. I'll have to think, how am I leaving the kids? And sometimes men will be like, how will you go to the coast without me? Or how will you go to the coast and leave me with the kids? Naturally selfish. So their life doesn't become easy. They just become themselves selfish.
Now, before we're almost running out of time, and you had mentioned the aspect of communication, because this is also another area that so many people struggle with. You hear, 25 years married, but we've started getting along the past 5 years. Looking at communication, very briefly, we'll have to continue with this discussion next week, still here on Family Check. But let me start with you, Nahashan. Communication from a man's point of standing, what does it look like? Very briefly.
You know, for men, men we think serially. Women think corroborate. That's the point. Men we think in a line. Women think parallel lines.
Linear.
Yes, women think in parallel lines. And that's even how they talk and how they do things. If I'm focused my argument today to this issue, if you ask me anything else probably about sports, I'll have to look for it somewhere. That's why when my dad is reading the newspaper and the kid comes there and I come there to tell you, see that what? I don't have school fees. What does he do first? Close the newspaper, look at me. So cross everything else in that brain and now concentrate on this one thing. But for women, you can do anything. She can continue talking, reading, and at the same time checking on the milk in the cooker, probably at the same time. So if you understand that, for men, it's wanaume hasikiagi. That's the first thing. Men listening, we can hear, but probably can't listen. We usually have a box, you call a box of nothing. At that time, you're not listening. So I think for women, and that's where the biggest problem comes in. I assume you didn't hear. You assume I can remember what I had. So you don't want to repeat. So you don't want to say it again.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. So once women understand that, it will be easier. It will be easier to talk to these guys or to talk to this gender. Like most of the times I say that women first talked to wild animals before men. The snake, for example. But that's how they're generally created. If you're talking to your wife, assume you are talking to a person with 100 things in the head.
Okay.
Yes.
Maria, your thoughts on the same aspect of communication, and given that you're already in marriage, comparing it to dating when you were in the courtship phase and now in marriage.
In dating,
which was a scam.
In dating, everything you say is yes. You can ask for a car today and he'll sacrifice his life for you. But when it comes to marriage, now whatever you say, he hears it in the opposite way. Like what you say does not get into your ears the way you meant it to get into those ears. So it's like, it's either you are assuming me or you don't understand me, but I don't get it. No matter how many times I repeat, you don't understand. Like men just have a way of understanding things the opposite way than you tell them. And women have a way of being logic about everything you tell them. Before you, whatever you've told me, before I put it into practice or before I understand you, I have to first figure out, is it good for us first of all? Is it good for me? Am I helping you when I do this? Am I spoiling you when I do that? So our communication is ruined in marriage because people don't, whatever goes into the ears is not what came from the mouth. And that's why the biggest problem in marriage is communication. We hear what we feel, not what we are told.
But this communication started from the very first day that you met.
Yeah, when we met, there was no communication. That was called pleasing you. Now, anything you say, it's yes. Anything you want, it's yes.
That was still a form of communication, but does marriage change your way of communicating?
Yeah, it does, because now you become your real self. Now I have the strength to tell you, I don't want this. It's a no. I can't compromise. I don't have to sacrifice for you to be happy.
Because you have that ring on your finger?
Yes.
Okay.
You see, by the end of the day, when we were dating for our case, she could even take me to go and watch football. Comfortably. She could take me. Today, I tell her, today, we may not have a date today because there is a football game. And she know I'm a fan of football. So, see, I can come. Well, let's go. So as I'm watching football, probably you're taking me on Nyama Choma or wherever. But when he got married, the whole issue of football, she didn't refuse immediately. So it started, I can go and watch football. But later they started, now fika nyumbani, you're very late. You are coming home very late. Then it started, I'm not happy with you coming home very late. So in short, I'm not happy with that football you're going to watch.
Okay.
But you see, in me, you are allowing it at that time. So why is it now this time?
So marriage changes how we communicate.
Literally, and when the responsibilities start coming, things start getting worse at that time. Yeah.
Now, I don't want to delve into another aspect because we have so much to touch on in regards to this topic. Due to the interest of time, we're going to pause at that particular point. But depending on your availability next week, we'd love to pick up this conversation and tackle a few other issues that, come to mind whenever we talk about marriage and the whole question of whether it is a scam. But as we close, for today, Maria, what would be your closing part? What's your parting shot to our viewers today in regards to marriage and the whole question of it being a scam?
The only thing I can tell everyone is, please, when you get into that marriage, you're tired of our men committing suicide, our women living in depression. We want happy marriages. We want people to live in marriage the way it was meant to be, for companionship.
Okay.
And not in any other way. So if you have a chance to make your marriage work, you can compromise, you can communicate, but you have a way of doing it. Just don't romanticize marriage so much for those who are not in marriage yet.
All right. Nahashon, very briefly.
First thing, let's stop being Deputy Jesus. When you talk about that marriage, marriage has a problem or marriage is a scam, somebody tells me, no, marriage was ordained by God. Yes, I know that, and I'm a Christian. And it was ordained by God and it's in the Bible. What will Muslims do then? If you quote the Bible, what will a Muslim do? What will the Hindus do? Let's talk on the reality. Let us not fall into the cognitive trap of seeing things the way we are, not the way they are.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. And probably the other issue, allow me to touch on this issue of phones.
I don't want us to delve into that because that is a whole other area that we will be looking at. Yes.
There is no marriage which is the same like other one.
All right.
It's for you to make your own marriage
to make your own marriage work. Yes. Beautiful point. We're going to pause at that particular point due to the interest of time. We have to close this discussion and the program as a whole at this particular point, but we'll be sure to pick up this conversation next week right here on Good Morning Kenya. For now, we have been speaking with Nahashon Mwawiru Ngugi, who is an ambassador for the boy child and the youth. He's also he also works at Martial Arts. Both of them do work at Martial Arts. And we also have Maria Nyambane Waweru, who is a journalist, author, as well as the director at Martial Arts. Thank you so much for making time to be with us today. We look forward to continuing with this discussion.
Thank you so much.
For now, we say goodbye. My name is Jen Wamboy. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
We will get money for Kenyans back.
David Mwaure Waihiga of the Agano Party.
Tuko tayari tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance.
Mungu tayari kutembea na sisi.
Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party. And
we have wealth in our country.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party. On the battle for State House, the presidential debate 2022, July 26th, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. on every screen, speaker and earpiece in Kenya.
Give me back my husband! Give me my son! I'm begging you, don't hurt them! Stay away from this and don't interfere. I am begging you, please.
I couldn't find Mrs. Raquel. I think I lost her in the street, and now I also don't know where Mr. Alfonso is.
What do you mean you lost Raquel out in the streets?
I will never be separated again, right, sweetheart?
What will happen is we'll live in the same city and close to each other, but in separate places.
Darling.
Raquel? What are you doing here?
You're here.
What's the matter, honey?
I got lost.
Leave me, Karen! If you shoot again, I'll kill her!
Finally, the wait is over. The Sundowner Sunset date is back. Saturday, 30th July 2022. The Grand Collabo, the gorgeous Catherine Donye and the wicked weekend man John Obongo Jr. together on one stage for the first time.
Meanwhile, some country.
Plus, Sir Elvis performing your favorite country hits live. All roads lead to the park in Kitengela, the land of Nyama Choma, for music, dance, food, drink, and so much fun. The Sundowner Sunset date, the Grand Collabo. Mark the date, Saturday, 30th July 2022. Tickets cost 500 shillings at the gate.